This Faith for Families reflection is for anyone who's ever felt unseen. What if the people we overlook were the ones Jesus saw most clearly? Not the religious, not the powerful, not the ones who always get it right. Jesus moved toward the people no one wanted. Let's start at a well. A woman comes alone at noon. She avoids the crowd, the whispers, the sideways glances. She's made mistakes, and it feels safer to hide than to be seen. But Jesus, he's already there waiting. He doesn't shame her, he sees her. He speaks with kindness. He talks about living water, a kind of life that doesn't run dry. And this woman, the one others rejected, becomes the first to tell her town about the Messiah. She came for water and left with purpose. Then there's Zacchaeus, short in stature, smaller in self-worth, a tax collector who's betrayed his own people to get rich. The crowd pushes him back, so he climbs a tree just to glimpse Jesus. And Jesus, he stops. He looks up, and he calls him by name. Zacchaeus, come down. I'm coming to your house today. The crowd mutters, he's eating with him? But Jesus doesn't look at what people see on the outside. He sees a heart ready to change. And Zacchaeus, just by being seen, becomes someone new. And there's a man with leprosy. His hands are scarred. His clothes are torn. He hasn't been hugged in years. People cross the street to avoid him. But he walks toward Jesus and says, if you are willing, you can make me clean. Jesus doesn't just say yes, he reaches out and touches him. For the healing, there was the touch. A simple moment of care that said, you are still worthy of love. And with that, Jesus restores more than skin. He restores dignity. Now picture a Roman centurion, a soldier, a leader, not someone you'd expect to ask Jesus for help. But his servant is sick, and he cares deeply. He says to Jesus, I'm not even worthy to have you come into my home. Just say the word, and I know my servant will be healed. Jesus is amazed. He turns to the crowd and says, I haven't seen faith like this in all of Israel. This man didn't grow up knowing the scriptures. He wasn't part of the inner circle, but he trusted in, and Jesus honored that trust. Sometimes the biggest faith comes from the most unexpected places. And then there are the children. They run to Jesus, laughing, giggling, full of joy. The disciples try to stop them. He's too busy, they say, too important. But Jesus says, let them come. He lifts them in his arms. He blesses them, not because they're quiet or perfect, but because they're open. He reminds everyone that the kingdom of heaven belongs to hearts like theirs. Where others saw distraction, Jesus saw delight. Now picture a man alone in the tombs. He lives in a graveyard. He yells through the night. People are afraid of him and no one knows how to help. But Jesus crosses the lake just to reach him. He steps out of the boat, walks toward the man, and speaks peace over his life. And something incredible happens. The man becomes calm, clear-minded, whole again. Jesus tells him, hey, go tell what God has done for you. Even when someone feels completely lost, Jesus still sees hope. And one day, the storm rises. The disciples are in the boat, and the wind is wild. Water crashes over the sides. And Jesus, he's asleep. They shout, Lord, don't you care if we drown? And Jesus wakes. He stands. He speaks peace. Be still. And the storm obeys. But before the wind dies down, he asks them, why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith? He wanted them to know he was always in control, even in the loudest storm, even in the silence. He hadn't forgotten them. And he hasn't forgotten you. These are the people Jesus moved toward, not the polished, not the proud, but the broken, the overlooked, the outsiders. And maybe that's you. Maybe you felt unworthy, disqualified, forgotten, too far gone. But you are exactly the kind of person Jesus paused for. He still stops. He still sees. He still says your name. He doesn't look for perfect people. He looks for open hearts. The people no one wanted are the people he called his own. And he hasn't changed. If you've ever wondered whether there's room for you in God's story, there is, and your name is written in his hands. If this touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to feel seen. And subscribe to join us each week for reflections that remind you, you are not forgotten.